Daryl McCoy.
Colby Page.
We got some huge NBA trade news.
Also got some sad news coming out of the mountains in the state of Kentucky. We lost a basketball legend. All that and more coming up today on Dave and Daryl Sports.
All right, guys, Daryl McCoy.
And Colby Page.
Kobe, we have come today in today's episode. We have some tragic news to bring to the people in the mountains. We lost a king. King Kelly Coleman passed away Sunday night in Hazard. Really some news I hated to hear.
Yeah, the name King really fit Kelly Coleman. He was one of the best basketball players to come out, not only out of the mountains, but out of the state of Kentucky.
Period. He is the best player to ever come out of the mountains and the state of Kentucky. When you talk about the things he done, he had offers from Adolph Rupp at UK. He didn't go to UK. He ended up going to he committed to WVU, but because of grades and impermissible benefits, he ended up settling for Kentucky Wesleyan and had a career there where he was a two-time All-American. Then ended up getting drafted 11th in the second round of the 1960 NBA draft and got drafted by the Knicks. Then he ended up going to the Chicago Majors and also spent time with the Baltimore Bullets. That's just something you don't see people from the mountains do.
That, you look back on King Kelly Coleman, on everything he did. The Lexington Herald-Leader had a great article a couple days ago. The list goes on, Daryl. I mean, he had 4,337 points in his 4 years playing as a Wayland Wasp. Kids get balls now, basketballs. They stop the game, they bring them off the bench. Coach comes out and presents them with a ball for 1,000 or 2,000. He could have gotten 4 balls.
Well, 2,000 is that's kind of what every high school player kind of shoots for now. Right. That's kind of the special season or special career is 2,000. He almost had that in a year. He had 1,734 points in one season, Kobe.
1956 will forever be the year of the King. The King Kelly Coleman in 1956 did so many things. That was his senior season at Wayland. That, like you said, the 1,734 for the season. Made 31 field goals in one game in 56. Had 75 points in one game.
41 rebounds
in the same game. Yes,
same game.
Unreal. The thing that sticks out the most to me in that season for King Kelly Coleman was this: went to the state tournament, so we won the region. Won the crown jewel of the mountain sports, mountain basketball player. Went to the state tournament, and not only broke the single game scoring record, but broke it twice. He set the record in one round for 50 points. Came out 2 days later, broke his own record with 68. Yeah, unbelievable.
King Kelly, I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times. I had the pleasure of meeting him whenever they opened the Mountain Sports Hall of Fame. Of course, our beat writer, Kayla Van Hoos, her and JR had special relationship with King Kelly. That was kind of their best friend. you know, the news of King Kelly's death has it's really hit them hard over the last few days. Kayla's having a tough time struggling with it, but it's just the stuff that they've done together since bringing King Kelly over the last 3 years. You know, that Mountain Sports Hall of Fame, that's a special thing that we have here in the mountains that a lot of people need to go see if y'all ain't already.
That article, like I said in the Herald Leader, had some great quotes from J.R. Van Hoos about not only the ball player that King Kelly Coleman was, but just the person that he was.
Yeah.
He was a good man, smart, noble, wise beyond his years, and he seemed to have passed a lot of that down to J.R., and you can tell J.R. is very gracious and very grateful that that's happened to him.
Yeah, I was just the kind of, it was something they seen coming, but nobody, nobody wanted it to happen.
Absolutely.
King Kelly had been sick for a while, but right now they're working on putting a bronze statue of him outside that Wayland gym. If you ain't been there, it's just when you walk in there, the history hits you, and with all that going on there, I think this Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Wayland gym, they're going to have visitations for him. So, I hope everybody gets a chance to go out and pay their respects to King Kelly. But you'll get to see when you walk in there, I know it's under bad circumstances, but, the history just hits you when you walk in that gym.
Wayland is a little tough to get to, but definitely worth the trip at this point in time.
Yeah, Wayland was the school that Allen Central ended up turning into.
Correct.
And nowadays it's Floyd Central.
Right.
But that being said, want to move on. Got some huge NBA trade news that slapped me right in the face. I didn't. Whenever I seen it, I didn't want to believe it. Anthony Davis to the Lakers.
I walked in Chirico's, was getting ready to head down to the Dinner and White here in Pikeville, and just happened to catch it on the television as soon as I walked in. Breaking news out of Los Angeles: Anthony Davis to the Lakers.
I honestly, I didn't figure Anthony Davis was. I've met Anthony Davis quite a few times, and I actually had dinner with him down here at the Giovanni's in Pikeville.
Yeah.
He was in during the Hillbilly days one time. Anthony, he's a great guy. Just from all it's kind of funny because when he went to New Orleans, he was kind of the crowd favorite.
Yeah.
And now he's turned into the villain. Well, not only New Orleans, but the NBA. Everybody's starting to turn against Anthony Davis, and be honest, I don't know why he went there.
I don't know why he went to L.A.
I mean, I understand why he went to L.A., but I don't know why he went with LeBron, especially after considering what they sent to the Pelicans for him.
I've got it down here, Daryl. They gave up the farm. I mean, they gave up. So off the current roster, off of the Lakers' current roster, the Pelicans got Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and Josh Hart. The Pelicans will also get the Lakers' number 4 draft pick in the upcoming draft. They'll get a first-round draft pick in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and potentially a pick in 2025. That's an unbelievable amount to give up for one player.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you 100%. Right now, the Pelicans, they're shopping that number 4 pick because, of course, they have the number 1 pick, Zion, going there. So, they got the big star coming in. I think the Pelicans, I think they won. And be honest, I think the Lakers won too because, when you talk about the one piece you couldn't give up, you didn't give up. They still got Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, he's definitely the best young player on that team. And you're absolutely right. The Lakers got this done, being able to keep Kyle Kuzma, obviously keep LeBron on that roster and get AD in there. That's the beginning of a very good trio that could do some damage in the West.
Oh, I agree, and the word right now, the word is that the Lakers are going to go hard after Kawhi Leonard in free agency, and if they take and get Kawhi Leonard, you might as well write the season next year.
The only thing I could see keeping that from happening, Daryl, would be a money issue. I don't know what they would be able to pay Kawhi, but you're absolutely right. If they can make that happen, geez, I think there's a date in there somewhere in July that maybe some money frees up for the Lakers that might make it possible or something. I'm not really clear on how that would work.
I know it's got to be hard for Kawhi to leave Toronto because I seen Joey Votto offered his like a traffic pass
Really?
to him if he stays. So.
Well, he definitely has a good thing going up there. There are a couple things I think that came down through the NBA, Daryl, that led to this blockbuster trade. As we know, I think the Celtics made a hard push, but the fact that Kyrie came out into the media and said basically he didn't know anybody anything, they couldn't guarantee he was going to be there for more than a year. So I think that kind of hamstrung the Celtics in trying to go after AD.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't guarantee that AD's going to stay with the Lakers for over a year.
Right.
I tell you a guy that I really hate this for is Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Just right after he ends up quitting, walking out on the Lakers, he ended up. I wish he had stayed in there and he would have been a part of this because I think his legacy kind of took a hit when he left, and I would like to see him stick around to see the glory days here.
I agree with you.
But with that being said, also got some huge basketball news coming out of the Allen area, which it's kind of a story that hits home to me because my old high school coach got named the head coach at Wesley Christian.
Yeah, Coach
Randy Casey.
Randy Casey has came back to the mountains. He's taken the head coaching job at Wesley Christian. The what's their mascot, Daryl?
The circuit
circuit riders.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool mascot, cool nickname. I never played under Coach Casey. I played against him. He coached against me when I was at Phelps for the 3 years I played varsity basketball. I know the kind of team that Coach Casey puts on the court. I know that they play defense. I know that they love to press, and I know that he's gonna do great things with the kind of talent that he can bring into that school.
Best big men's coach east of the Mississippi, and I'm not playing, hands down. The man should be at a huge D1 college coaching big men because I've seen him take kids that couldn't even dribble the cone drill and turn into an all-region player. I mean, he's that special of a coach when it comes to big men. But the things that we've seen him do down at Athens Prep, I think he's got over 20-some kids to the next level down there. And just seeing, Coach Casey never forgot his roots. Right. He always took and made sure at the Athens Prep team that he had mountain players, come up there. But here's the thing that's different at Wesley Christian is he had a post-grad team there. Here it's just like a high school. Right. So, Coach Casey wants to be really sensitive about he don't want any coaches to think that he's here going to take their players or anything like that. So it's going to be – that's kind of the thing. The Mountains need to get behind Wesley Christian because we have a jewel there. We have Oak Hill Academy coming in playing games. Last year, when Oak Hill come in, I think they might have been 20 people in the stands. That's ridiculous.
I didn't even know about it. I didn't know about it. If I'd known, I'd have been there. My dad would have been there. That's two people that if they just known, they would have been there.
Yeah.
If you can get the word out of I didn't even realize the kind of talent that was being put on the court at this small school in the middle of Allen.
You got 3 or 4 D1 players there, and here's the thing with Wesley. I think they had 11 players from 11 different countries. That's kind of hard for mountain people to get behind, just because we're kind of a special breed. It's kind of hard there, but I think that Coach Casey, I think what he's going to do, he's going to do good at developing his young talent. So he sprinkles in some mountain kids with that, and in them younger teams there at Wesley Christian. There's a couple really talented players that's coming up that's going to end up being very good. And if they stay at Wesley Christian, I think that's going to help take Wesley Christian to the next level. And, I thought with Brady Kahn, I thought that was going to be something that was going to take them, over at Hump. But it ended up, Brady Kahn ended up going back to Floyd Central. But I think Coach Casey, I think he'll have them going in the right direction and the mountains behind them.
If anybody can sell that program to the people of the mountains, it's Coach Casey. He's been a coach in this area as long as I've been playing ball, and he knows what's going on around here.
Yeah, and there was a couple more things going on in the mountains I want to mention. Some really fun things happening over in the Wimpson area. New line cage fighting. Second show they put on at the Wimpson Fieldhouse, and it was a hit. We had a couple of our mountain athletes ended up taking and getting some really big wins there. and one of them was a fighter that we've had on this show a couple of times, Austin Speedy Markham, the pride of Mingo County. He was trying his hand in the MMA, and for the first time he'd won. I think he had like 3 different titles that he's won in boxing.
Yeah.
So he accomplished pretty much all he needed to accomplish there, and now he wanted to try his hand in MMA. Didn't look so good the first couple rounds. It was a 3-round war against Nick Williard. Nick Williard, he was the more veteran fighter. He ended up taking, and for the first couple rounds, he took Speedy down, mounted him a couple times. But Speedy, he's one tough fighter, and he ended up fighting through that. And then in the 3rd round, whenever they come out, he went back to the old trusty left uppercut, knocked Williard to the ground, got on top of him, finished it. He ended up finishing the fight due to taps. And I tell you, Speedy Markham, right now it looks like he's got a career in MMA.
From what little bit I've dabbled in watching the UFC and the MMA, yep. I've came across the theory that if you're a better wrestler than your opponent, and what we say here in the mountains, probably more than Phelps than anywhere, waller. If you could waller him to death, waller him for 3 or 5 rounds, and tire him out, and you get him there at the end, you have the advantage. But this Markham kid sounds like a puncher. And if you're a fighter, you've always got a puncher's chance, no matter when it comes. If you take advantage of your opportunity and land a punch, and then get on top of it, take advantage of that fight's never over.
Well, you also want to take and give a huge shout out to Austin Bledsoe. He was a 3-sport standout at Chapmanville. He played baseball, soccer, and golf. That's not really the kid you're going to expect you're going to see in the cage. But Austin ended up transforming himself over to a kickboxer, had his first kickboxing match, 1:13 seconds. Austin Bledsoe put him to sleep.
Wow. The mixed martial arts, those guys are athletes, man. If it doesn't matter if you're a golfer, a baseball player, basketball player, football player. If you can be good at mixed martial arts, if you can train your body to do that for the amount of time, 3 3-minute rounds. Yeah. I mean, that's tough to do. It takes a special kind of athlete to do that kind of stuff.
With that being said, we're going to put this segment to sleep, and we'll be right back after a few words from our sponsors.
Makes me feel alive inside and shares all I go through.
Ma'am, we've just been notified that you were in a crash. Are you okay?
No.
Was the accident your fault?
No.
Don't worry, ma'am. We have just dispatched the law offices of Shane Hall and Keith Hall. Everything will be okay.
Call the name you know. Call Shane Hall and Keith Hall, attorneys at law.
Perfect.
We got an exciting new segment coming up next, Couch Guest with Caitlin Keithley. Alright guys, this is our inaugural episode of Couch Guest, and Caitlin Keithley is our first athlete that we have on the couch here. Caitlin, you're kind of you was the it player this year. You're the only player from the 15th region to go D1. How's that feel?
It's really exciting. It's what I've worked for my whole life, so I'm really just excited to get down there.
Now, you've had a rocky road throughout your career. Does it kind of come that much sweeter after knowing what you've been through over the last 3 years?
Yeah, definitely. Well, being with Pike Central, like we had a great team. We went to the Final Four. And last year, my junior year, didn't go as I wanted it to, of course. But I think coming to Prestonsburg, it did. It made it a whole lot better and more exciting for me to, earn this opportunity. So it means a lot more.
And that's what I was wanting to ask you. I've been wanting to ask you for a while, Caitlin. If you had it to do over, do you think that kind of hampered your as far as your career went, switching schools like that? Would you have rather had the right school from the beginning and stayed there?
Well, I don't know. That's really a hard question because, Pike Central, that's really like where I became who I am.
Yeah.
Like everything that whole team. That's how I really got my confidence up and became the player I was. And then going to Pikeville last year, of course, I had some struggles there, but I think it all made me the player I am for my senior year. So I think it all kind of worked out the way it was supposed to.
See, the way I always seen it, when you talk about like Zylan Harmon,
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to keep up with him because he's switching schools.
Yeah.
Like right now, he's one of my favorite players, but I don't know where he's at.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell you right now where he's going to play next year.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was kind of, what I was always worried about with you because you was obviously from your sophomore season, you had D1 talent.
Yeah.
You played under Coach Derek Newsom, his system. He's the type, you go 100 mile an hour, 100% of the time, and do you think that your days at Pike Central and under Coach Newsom did, because offensively you was always, you was good offensively.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about anything there, but did the days with Coach Newsom, is that something that really helped you on the defensive side?
Yeah, for sure. That's what Pike Central was all about, was defense and the press. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun when we done it. So.
Now, going to Prestonsburg this year, Coach Kidd, be honest, I think Coach Kidd should have been, Coach of the Year.
For sure.
You've had three different high schools, Pike Central, Pikeville, and now Prestonsburg. You had 20-win seasons. Mm-hmm. Is that something, an accomplishment in itself that you're always going to be proud of?
Yeah, definitely. I know that wherever I was, that I made the people around me better. So.
I know, like, it was when y'all was sitting at 19 wins, I had spoke to you, and that was one thing that was eating at you. Yeah. You wanted that 20th win, and knowing it come, the last game of the season, was that did that make it a little bit sweeter?
Yeah, definitely, because it was our last home game, so it meant a lot to me and for my team, and I just, I really wanted that not only for me but for Coach Kidd. So I'm glad that we got it.
Now, with Prestonsburg, like I said, you're the ultimate floor general. You make everybody around you better. Whenever it went to the players because talking to a couple girls that come to the camp, they really looked up to you and what you brought to the team. What are a couple of them girls that you really kind of took pride in and that come next year we're going to know about?
Well, they're all definitely really young. So there's Faith Lazar and Selena Mullins, and they're two players that by their senior year, they're going to be, a big-time threat in this region. And they also have Olivia Sloan that's coming up, playing point guard. And Allison Campbell, who's the senior right now, she gets after on defense. So, after Allison leaves, it might be hard for them that next year, but by the time Faith and Selena are seniors, it's going to be really good.
Now, one thing that I always wanted to let players know, I wanted to use you as an example because you're one of the girls that done it. Mm-hmm. When you take most kids around here, they spend every summer playing AAU ball. Yeah. They're away from here. Their parents spend thousands of dollars. But in the case of you took, and it was during the summers, you was in the gym with your dad. It was, every day you was in there working on your craft instead of going and playing AAU and exposure ball. You was working on your game, and you ended up the same place that exposure ball helps. Mm-hmm. Does it is that something that you kind of see like, okay, there is different paths to the same destination?
Yeah, well, like me and my dad always talked about me playing AAU. Like, it was always a thought, but we honestly thought, just spending my own time in the gym, that would make me the better player I am, especially because we always worked on ball handling a lot. Yeah. That's my thing. So we thought that's what we needed to do for me. So
now, when it come time to choose colleges, you had options. You had a lot of options. Why did you settle with Presbyterian?
Well, Presbyterian, Coach Sharp, well, she really excited me, first of all, because she makes me feel really welcomed and really wanted. So that's what I loved. And she also talked about how we're going to be building the program up to something, more special. And also with it being D1, obviously that's something that I've worked for a long time. So that's, I was really excited about that. And it's also located about an hour away from my family in South Carolina. So that played a big part in it too.
Okay, come next year, is it going to be a process to get you on the court, or do they have plans on playing you right away, or how's the team look?
Well, when I first get down there, I know that I'm going to be, whatever they want me to be, honestly. Like, I'm going to get down there, I'm going to make my teammates better, I'm going to be the best teammate that I can. But I'm sure my role will change throughout my career while I'm there. But I'm just there to, play ball.
Now, do you think it's going to be a hard adjustment coming from where you are the star
Yeah.
to going to,
Yeah, for sure, definitely. But, I'm excited because I know no matter what, I know I'm good now, but the player I'm going to be 4 years from now, it's going to be totally different. So
that's it. When it boils down to it, you're the best ball handler in the mountains, boys or girls. So when you go to college, that's something that you're always going to be able to rely on because I'm sure that, that skill right there is going to transcend to the next level.
Yeah, definitely.
So, guys, that's it for our first segment of Couch Guests. Thank you, Caitlin Keithley.
Thank you.
All right, see you next year.
Yep.
Want to thank Caitlin Keithley for coming in for our first ever, our inaugural episode of Couch Guests. Great having Caitlin in.
It was. She's a very nice young lady. It's the first time I've ever met her. Very polite, very good interview. She answered all your questions, didn't try to dodge anything or duck anything. Not that you ask her anything too hard, but she seems like a nice young lady. I wish her nothing but the best moving forward, playing some college ball.
That's great. One thing, staying on the topic of having girl athletes here, one thing I wanted to ask you, when it comes to sports in the mountains right now, what do you think's better off? Do you think there's more talent in the boys' sports or more talent in the girls' sports?
I've never seen so many talented young women in the mountains as there are right now. You go around and obviously I'm more prone to watch basketball. Young Miss Keithley around here balling out. You've got the young lady over in the Phelps area.
Yeah, Danielle.
Danielle. Then you've also got some softball players. Miss Kendall Hall. The Van Hoos girl from over in the
Chloe Van Hoos.
Chloe Van
Speaking
Hoos.
of that, this weekend, Kendall Hall and Chloe Van Hoos, the Hillbilly Express, went down to Ole Miss and ended up they wiped the slate down there. Kendall Hall, she batted .444, went 8 for 18. She had 6 RBIs, 8 hits. She had a dinger. I think she had a double, maybe a triple, if I'm not mistaken. She went out on one of softball's biggest stages. She went down there. There's 40-plus schools in attendance. And Kendall, she showed out on the biggest stage. And that shows you right there, when you talk about players, most players get in that and they kind of crumble under the pressure. Kendall stepped up to the plate and she knocked it out of the park. First pitch, she knocked her dinger. Yeah. First pitch.
You can't. Also, the pitcher on that team is Miss Chloe Van, who's from the Johnson Central area. She went down there. The talent that was at that camp.
She went 3-0.
Yeah, the talent that was at that camp. You make one mistake with that pitch, it's going somewhere.
Yep.
Like you said, they're going to send that pitch a packing. So to go down there and go 3-0 and basically pitch mistake free, that takes some serious talent.
Well, when you talk about Chloe Van Hoos, there's a reason Johnson Central was the 15th region champs, and that was Chloe Van Hoos. She's the type of kid she dominated. From the start of the season to the last pitch was thrown, she dominated. Chloe Van Hoos, it didn't matter if the bats was hitting. Johnson Central through the middle of the season, they had a couple times when they went on droughts there.
Yeah.
But because they had Chloe Van Hoos, it kept them afloat, and she is the it pitcher. She's the one of the top pitchers in that 2023 or 2022 class, and then or 2021, and then Kendall Hall is in the 2022 class. and just what she did down there. I mean, it's kind of neat, seeing them Southern going down them Southern teams getting run over by the Hillbilly Express.
Just even the softball season for the girls continued today. Actually, we're filming this on Tuesday, so today the 15th Region Futures All Stars went down to Moorhead and played a game. I've got their roster in front of me. It's the who's who of the 15th Region, Daryl. Sydney Lowe, Pike Central. Maddie Vaughn, Pike Central. Emily Bailey, McGoffin County. Randy DeLong, Pikeville. Emily Ford, Pikeville. Kendall Hall, Pikeville. Kelsey Adams, Pikeville. Chloe Van Hoos, Johnson Central. Jaden Bowling, Johnson Central. Claire Gamble, Johnson Central. Clara Bell, Paintsville. Abigail Williams, Paintsville. Maddie Ratliff, Paintsville. Kenzie Feltner, Lawrence County, and Kyra Looney, Eastridge. They went down there today. The game was supposed to be held at 10 o'clock this morning, but I think we all know what kind of rain we've been dealing with here. So it got pushed back till, I think they didn't get going until about 2 o'clock. So we don't have any scores. They played the 16th Region Future All-Stars today.
Well, you know what they say about weather in Kentucky, don't you?
Wait 15 minutes?
And wait 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But with that being said, also it was Claire Blair from Paintsville. But
Sorry.
the want to take kind of transition over to basketball. The summer camps that's been going on. When you talk about, I'm excited already for the basketball season to start.
It's going to be something else. The cool thing that we have the ability to do now, thanks to social media, is keep up with these schools the way they do their summer ball.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. When I was in high school, we went to Georgetown for 3 days a year. Nobody knew what happened to us down there. We could go down there and get hammered or win 10 games, and nobody would know. Now you can keep up with it. You got the Eastridge girls right now playing at Transy. Transy's had 2 separate camps in the last 6 days.
Eastridge, coached by the great Denise Campbell.
Yes. She's actually my cousin. We'll give full discretion. Denise is my second cousin, so I've known Denise. She helped raise me, but I've actually been keeping in touch with her these last couple of days. They've been down there in Transy doing well. I think that she let me know today that they have. Let's see. I'll tell you exactly what their record has been. Let's see here.
They well, when you talk about one of the teams that I'm really interested, I'm not sure if they're down there or not, is that Phelps team with Kylie Hall.
Right. The Phelps team was at Transy over the weekend, so must have had 2 camps at Transylvania these last 5 or 6 days. The Phelps team went down there over the weekend and played well. I think they went. I think they only lost 2 games. Played some serious talent, some Southern Ohio teams, a lot of teams from the Lexington area. Central Kentucky went down there and played with the best of them. Kylie Hall and Danielle Prater,
Chloe Smith
played well together, put on a good show, and they're coming along.
Now, speaking of some, I've waited all summer for that KBC tournament. Now, when you talk about the KBC tournament, I think Bourbon County ended up winning it, if I'm not mistaken. But when you talk about the talent that was there, you talk about Chapmanville and Martin County.
Yeah.
Now, they got to square off.
Yeah.
The 2 top bigs in the mountains. You had the Nigerian Nightmare, Obina Anakili Killen, and then you also had Trey James, the monster in the middle. They went at it. Obina ended up having 18 points. I think Trey had 16. I think Trey had a double-double. I mean, they went to war. But the standout from that game was the new a lot of people don't know this yet. Chapmanville has a new Obina. He has a little brother now that's playing for Chapmanville. It's David Tebeck, I think's his name. But he ended up having 30 points.
Wow.
He was the standout. He's a power forward, if I'm not mistaken. I think he stands like 6'7". He's just, he's a monster down there. And Martin County, they just had no answer for him. Because you knew you had Trey, he could somewhat kind of contain Obina. But when you talked about at that power forward position, Ethan Smith Mills, they ain't, as good as a defender as he is, there ain't much he can do with a 6'7" guy.
They're gonna have some competition in West Virginia this year. Mingo Central's been playing some good ball this summer. They actually picked up 2 players, the Robley brothers. Desmond Robley came over from Belfry,
Yeah.
He's running with those boys this summer. They've also got their two best players back, Drew and Devin Hatfield, both a senior and a sophomore. When they've got their team together, when they got their whole team out, because they're just like everybody else around here. They're compete with football and baseball and all that good stuff. But they're running well, playing well, they're guard heavy. But that coaching staff's got their offense focused on that, and I think that there's going to be a lot of good basketball.
Let me tell you a little secret.
Let's hear it.
I may take a lot of heat for this, but WIPAC Cardinal Conference clear. That's Chapmanville's.
Right.
Yeah. You got Andrew Scholl. I mean, he had multiple games over 30 points at the KBC. He's the number one point guard that we have in the mountains. Number one, period. Then you take he's a D1 lock. Then you have Obina and Achille Killen, the number one prospect we have.
Yeah.
You have David Beck. He's playing power forward. That's something. They got twin towers now. Then you take Philip Mullins. He wasn't even playing in this tournament. He was hurt. He's one of Chapmanville's big three. So it's just that. I'm kind of I'm excited there, but when it comes to basketball, I wish the Hatfields would have stayed at Logan with Early, because I think it actually, combined with David Early, I think they would have had a chance to rival Chapmanville for that Cardinal Conference. But with them leaving and going back to Mingo, I think what that done is paved the path for Chapmanville, because I don't think Mingo has enough to play. They definitely don't have the bigs to match up with Chapmanville, and David Early now, it's leaving him shorthanded. Yeah. Even though that they have a nice point guard coming in Peyton Adams that's replacing Drew, it's just they're still shorthanded, and especially losing Peter No down low. I mean, it's just they ain't nobody in the mountains that's got two bigs like Chapmanville does, and Obina, he's a nightmare on the offense and defensive side of the floor.
I watched this Desmond Robley kid play in the 60th district tournament last year. He's a tough ball player. I wouldn't count him out just yet, but I've not watched Chapmanville. We'll see how it plays out.
All right, guys, that's it for this segment, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Perfect.
Guys, we're back. This is the segment. Everybody right now, during the time of year, they're ready for this segment. It's football time.
Football time, man. We're excited to talk about football. Everybody starts getting hungry for football about the middle of June and the start of July.
We're here to give you our 5 games of the year locks, potential game of the year.
Yeah, these are the 5 games that Daryl and I sat down. stood back, took a look at a few schedules, and picked 5 games that we thought are going to be really exciting.
Yeah, we're going to start out with the number 5 game, and we excluded the Pike County Bowl because, of course, there's going to be a couple games there that would be on this list. So we're going to get to that later on in the summer. But
these are in no particular order.
Yeah.
Just kind of throwing them out there.
Right now, you got Mingo Central versus Wayne first.
That'll be a lot of fun. Mingo Central, when Wayne came down to the last possession last year, Mingo Central's beat Wayne 4 straight years. Wayne is a powerhouse. They're going to be ready to play.
The thing about Mingo Central right now, everything's clicking. They got Joey Fields back. That's huge for that Mingo Central program. Now, Coach Josh, he does a great job, and I'm sure he is very happy to have Joey Fields back on that staff because Joey's kind of an offensive guru, getting the best receiving core back for Dalen Goad. That right there is going to be huge, and I think that Wayne, just to be honest, I think this is Mingo's game this year. I think Wayne is I think they're barking up the wrong tree if they want a piece of Mingo this year.
I think the main thing about this game, Daryl, is the date, September 6th. It's early.
Yeah.
You find out who you are in early September, and it's going to set the tone for the rest of the year for both these teams.
Now, going on to the next game, Paintsville versus Beechwood.
Yeah.
That's huge game. I kind of applaud Coach Cherico for scheduling that right there. It's going to be a huge game, and it's going to have a lot of eyes on it because that's going to have potential state ramifications.
And another reason I picked this game, Daryl, where you and I both looked at it, is the date, August 30th. That's a very early game. That's the Friday of the Pike County Bowl, so I guess it's week 1, that area right there. I don't know if both of these teams have a week 0 game lined up. Could be I think Paintsville plays Lawrence County first game of the year, so it'll be Paintsville's second game of the season. I'm not sure about Beechwood, but that'll be just like the Wayne Mingo Central game. You're going to find out who you are
now
early on in the season.
Here's the thing. Last year we seen Paintsville. They struggled at the beginning of the year. Be honest, when they played Pikeville out here, I thought that was one of the worst teams I ever seen take the field. Coach Cherico and his staff, they are the cream of the crop. They ended up getting them boys to buy in and ended up being a contender to go to state. By the end of that was one of the best coaching jobs that I seen all year long. And he has Jalen Allen returning, which is Tyrese Allen's little brother. Jalen committed to EKU, but what people don't realize is they lost maybe their best offensive weapon in Josh McClurg. So
this game is going to be fun to watch. 2 great teams right off the bat early in the season. I'm excited about that one.
Third game on the slate, Belfry versus Johnson Central. That's every year you can put that game right there. That's the game of the year in the mountains. When it comes down to, now Pikeville's kind of stepping up back in that mix.
Yeah.
But, for the last decade, it's been Belfry versus Johnson Central. And, the thing you was talking about dates, this game is a game here that I always want to see. I would love to see it played earlier.
Yes,
because
I agree with you.
They always play it the last game.
Yeah.
All right. If one of the coaches sees that the other coach has a overwhelming favorite, you see the other coach set, half the starters.
The injury list gets long.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I would love to see that game earlier. But, it's going to be that game right there. I think that it's really good, even though that it's the last game. It's good for both teams because heading into the playoffs, it kind of gives you that, okay, who am I? Am I a pretender or am I a contender?
Exactly. And you're absolutely right, Daryl. The only downfall of this game is you have Johnson Central's a 5A school, I believe, and then you got Belford, the 3A school. That classification.
Johnson Central, they just moved up to 5A, didn't they, this year? Or did they stay at 4? They stayed at 4A.
Excuse me. But the thing is, with this game here, it's never really mattered. Those classifications have dropped away, whether Belford's 2A, 3A, whatever. It's always, that's gone by the wayside, and these two teams look to play. But I absolutely agree with you. By the time this game rolls around, the date of this one's November 1st. they know their playoff seed. They know what's coming up in the first round of the playoff usually by that time. So this here is just a gear-up game. And you're absolutely right. If something's going on, they realize that maybe one team's on a little bit more of a roll. Sometimes they kind of settle
push
it
them on
down.
that injury list. Yeah. So next game I want to talk about is Pikeville versus Paintsville. That's a game that it's always been a war and a battle. It's been that Class A. They're the two big. Not only are they the two big powers in Class A, but they're the two big independent schools.
Battle for independence.
Yeah, there you go. And it kind of. I think that rivalry took a step up whenever Cash Daniels was there.
Yes.
Them games with Cash Daniels, especially the one when it come down to the end. Cash Daniels won on that last second play. It was a regular season game, and he had the famous quote after. I think that was kind of where the legend of Cash Daniels started. He's talking about he had the toughest line in Kentucky, and then Pikeville ended up coming back in the playoffs, and if I'm not mistaken, ended up beating Paintsville out. So. That's a game. There's no love lost there, and I'm very excited for it.
I am too. Ever since I was in high school, these two teams. I played at Phelps, so these two teams were on our schedule every year, and that's a game that everybody in Eastern Kentucky knew was coming up. Everybody knew where it was going to be played, and if you didn't have something going on, you were going to be there and you were going to watch it because it didn't matter what the records go out the window. Just like with Belfry and Johnson Central, classes go out the window. Records go out the window, and whoever shows up to play on that Friday night is the team that wins.
Well, I'm sure last year, Pikeville, they wiped the field with Paintsville, and I'm sure this year it goes back to Paintsville this year, so it's going to be a I'm sure Paintsville is going to have a lot of animosity,
exactly.
going into that game, and I'm sure they're going to want that game. So that's going to be really excited. But I want to get to our last game on the slate here. It's a game that, if you're from Pond Creek, I'm telling you, this is the game you look for every year, and it's that Belfry Pikeville game. And now, both these programs, they're at the top of the hill. So when these two teams collide, we're going to have a battle.
It's going to be fun. If I'm not mistaken, this game's at Belfry this year.
Yes.
Correct. 9/20, so it's September 20th, so it's still kind of early on in the season. I think both of these teams by that game will know who they are. They'll know what's going on. They'll be settled into Belfry's settled into what they.
We're going to run the ball no matter what.
Exactly. But they're going to be settled into who they're going to be playing. They're going to be clicking. Both of these teams are going to be primed and ready for this game, and it is going to be fun. I'm excited to see how young Coach Mac's son, the quarterback at Pikeville, comes in, and this will probably be his first big test.
Well, the Belfry defensive backfield, I don't know if Pikeville will face a better defensive backfield than that Belfry one. You got Isaiah Birchfield, Ben Bentley, you got Brett Coleman, Bad News Brett Coleman. Trying to think who else it was. They got 3 or 4 there in that defensive backfield that, they are just lights out. They shut any receiver they go against. But the Pikeville receiving core, it's going to be tough. You got Seth Pugh on one side, Jackson Hensley on the other, and it's going to be a test for everybody. And Isaac McNamee's the type of quarterback that can sit there and he can exploit them advantages if you give them to him. Yeah. We seen last year Bo Allen. He passed all over Belfry in a playoff game. So that, if Pikeville goes and watches game film, that could be something that Coach Mack kind of takes a lot from, is that game right there. But this game right here, here's what's special about this game is that, I don't know. I kind of took, last year, Pond Creek, I took a lot of heat. Pond Creek kind of turned on me last year during this time of year because, I picked the boys in maroon, to do it. And, I'm not going to make that mistake again. And until it's done, I'm going to roll with my Pirates. Yeah. But that's going to be the game of the year right there.
It's going to be a fun one. Coach Stephen Johnson, the offensive coordinator at Pikeville, he's going to have all his weapons. He's going to have them ready to go. But I'll tell you one thing: that Belfry always, that building in the back by the school there in the back of the end zone at Pikeville, or at Belfry. You know what that is? That's a 5'2", 275 factory. They just keep pumping those linemen out. And I'm telling you what, that defensive line is going to have their ears pinned back trying to get at young Isaac McNamee. We'll see what he can do against that.
Oh, yeah, watch Jacob Baisden. He's going to be the name to watch there. Want to talk about go off this right here. Want to talk about mountain recruiting. Listen, here's the thing. With mountain recruiting, I'm not the type, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and, say that, we've done this, we've done that. But over our last 2-3 years here in the mountains, we have seen mountain recruiting pick up at least 75%. I mean, when you talk about, you didn't see colleges, you didn't see these players have lists of colleges, and that's one thing that I kind of take pride in, is that we're putting these out there. And another thing, you're starting to see, these schools like Kentucky, Louisville, you talk about Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Murray State, they're starting to come to the mountains, and they realize that we have as good a talent as anybody else here. And when you see our players going and playing there, they're standing out. They're not, just riding the pine taking up a spot.
Yep.
They're standing out.
I think that, and I'll just be honest with you, I think that Coach Haywood and Belfort High School have had as much to do with that as any football program in Eastern Kentucky. Starting with guys like David Jones coming in here, going to the University of Kentucky, getting looks initially from Ohio State, Tennessee, University of Kentucky. He picks UK, he goes and starts for 4 years. The eyes turn to Eastern Kentucky. Then you come down the road a little bit, guys like Cole Bentley going to Louisville, and being on television
Austin
every
Dotson
Saturday.
Going to Kentucky.
Exactly.
Raekwon Horton, EKU.
Exactly.
Jordan Scott, EKU.
Yes,
then you go, this year, you got Pikeville. They had a few. You had Bull Hunter. He ended up going to Marshall. It's just the mountains in general. You talk about when you go to Johnson Central and talk about the players that they put. It's been crazy. The mountain recruiting. When you talk about Seth Johnson last year to Moorhead, he ended up getting that offer from Moorhead at Shelby Valley. Those are schools that normally stayed hid. Phelps had as many players put through to the next level. Now that has a huge part to David Jones.
It does.
But they had 6 or 7 football players that's playing at the next level.
Yeah.
That's, you would have never seen that before.
No.
For instance, Ethan Colgrove, #1 center in Kentucky coming into this season. He's already off the board. He committed to Concord. That right there, you talk about Grayson Cook. He's got 3 offers. Went to Air Force, showed out, ended up picking 2 more offers yesterday within an hour. It's just the recruiting right now. Jackson Hensley, Seth Pugh. Seth Pugh picked up another big one from center. If he goes down center, he'll join Christian Builder and Connor Roberts, his old teammates. That'd be huge if they can land Jackson Hensley too. Them 4 right there back together again. Center football, they'll be the school of the mountains. They'll be the mountains' favorite because they're recruiting the mountains like no other right now.
You got Cole Bentley's younger brother right now on the defensive backfield. Ben Bentley. He's getting some serious looks from some big time schools.
Oh, he went out to the Pac-12 and visited Cal. A couple of them Pac-12 schools. He's been at Penn State. He's been a couple ACC schools, Big Ten schools. The ACC and Big Ten's really hot after Ben. But Ben, he kind of seen his interest spike after that Nike score he put up at 123.
Yeah.
That was mind blowing, and ever since then, his phone has been lit up the entire time.
Also, going to the state of West Virginia, Mingo County had Drew Hatfield. He's been at WVU, Penn State, Rutgers, Louisville.
Loserville. But with that being said, we're gonna go to break, guys, and we'll be right back for good or bad.
Makes me feel alive inside and shares all I go through.
Ma'am, we've just been notified that you were in a crash. Are you okay?
No.
Was the accident your fault?
No.
Don't worry, ma'am. We have just dispatched the law offices of Shane Hall and Keith Hall. Everything will be okay.
Call the name you know. Call Shane Hall and Keith Hall, attorneys at law.
Perfect. Perfect.
One of my favorite segments that we're doing now. It's the good or bad.
I enjoyed it last week. We'll have a little more fun this week.
Yep. First topic on the board is participation trophies.
This is a hot topic, Daryl. Hot topic.
Not hot for me. I'll go ahead and tell you. I get messages every day from parents. They are horrible. They're not just bad. They're horrible. The parents message me every day talking about why my kid didn't get this, why my kid didn't get that. Well, the kid ain't good enough. I mean, that's all I can tell you. You know, participation trophies. Here's the thing, Kobe. You know, if you give every kid a trophy, it's not fair to give the 12th man on the bench the same trophy that the star of the team got. All right, that does nobody no favors. If you take and you didn't work as hard in practice. You didn't put the work in that this guy did, to be a star. Why should you get a trophy? All right. Eventually, that kid right there, he's going to get tired of not getting that trophy, and he's going to strive to be the best, and you're going to get the best out of that kid.
Right.
With participation trophies, they settle. Why do I got to work harder? I'm getting the same benefits this guy's getting.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate here, Daryl. I really don't disagree with you as far as that goes. But I got participation trophies when I was a kid. T-ball, got participation trophies for T-ball.
I kind of got that from you.
All right. But here's the deal. I knew that I got the same trophy as the best players did.
Yeah.
I understood. I knew what it was. And I still wanted to be the best. I still wanted to win. I remember vividly in T-ball begging my mother to tell me what the score was, and she would not do it. The coaches wouldn't tell us. I said, "Mom, what's the score? Mom, what's the score? Mom, what's the score? I'm keeping it. So I got participation trophies, but I still knew who won. I still knew who the best kids on the team were, and I still wanted to be the best. I wanted to win every single game. But listen, I agree with you. I don't think those are necessary, and they're a waste of money.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to sit there and give somebody the star of the team, a kid that's in the gym every day, 6 days a week. He's working 8 hours a day on his craft, and then you got Joe Blow over here playing Fortnite. I'm not going to give this kid the same trophy, because I'm going to show this kid right here that his effort and his work that he put in, that I appreciate it, and that's what's going to make him better, and that's why he's getting this trophy. And you know what? Joe Blow eventually put that controller down, and he'll quit playing Fortnite, and he'll hit the gym too. And that's the only way to end up making your team and your players better.
I agree with you. Once we get into middle school, high school, those participation trophies go away.
Our second topic, good or bad, retirement contracts. In particular, Coach Calipari.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. Coach Cal has a 10-year retirement contract, but we all know that if tomorrow comes and the Chicago Bulls call him and say, "John, we want you to come be our coach," and if they lay enough money down on that table, he's gone. He's leaving. That contract ain't worth the. I would be willing to bet that there's some type of clause in that 10-year contract that says John Calipari can leave for a certain job or for a certain amount of money or at a certain time. So I think it's ridiculous.
I do too. I think it's pretty much a crowd pleaser. I mean, I do. I think it's kind of something to keep the BBN occupied. Just being like, okay, well, yeah, we ain't got the top recruits over the past couple of years, even though Duke has wiped the table with us in the recruiting world. This right here, we still got Coach Cal, and I think that was kind of what that was. The thing with that right there, it was interesting timing because, it was right after I think we'd lost another recruit to Duke when we first got the first when they was talking about Cal was here for the rest of his career, and then we just seen like within the last week it come out the details. It's 10 years, and but I'm the same way. I mean, it's not worth the paper it's written on, and I don't know. I don't look into that stuff right there because Coach Cal, to be honest, when Brad Calipari leaves here, I think Coach Cal's going to end up. I think he's happy in Lexington. I think his wife Ellen, I think she's happy. His daughter's Megan, and I can't remember his other daughter's name, but I think they're both happy in Lexington, and I think he's going to end up leaving there. I think the only thing that could pull him away, and now it's kind of an interesting topic, with Luke Walton leaving, everybody wanting Luke out there.
He's had some legal issues come up
in
Sacramento early on.
I think that they're going to end up. I think if LeBron wanted Coach Cal in L.A., I think that'd be something that Coach Cal would have to listen to, have a chance to coach AD again.
I'll tell you right now, something that has astonished me is the fact that Coach Cal stayed there this long. I mean, he's had opportunity, reportedly had opportunity after opportunity to leave, and he hasn't jumped on it.
Now, tell me this, if Coach Cal, if he keeps leaving within the next 2 years, if he don't get that number one player, watch for Coach Cal to move, because I think right now Coach K has his number, and I don't think Coach Cal's kind of a fan of playing second fiddle. So, and Anthony Davis would be the one. That'd be wise for the Lakers too, because if they want to keep Anthony Davis, hire Coach Cal.
Yep.
But third topic on the board is dead period. It's something Kentucky, West Virginia, it both varies. But what's your thoughts on it?
You got to give kids time to be kids, Daryl. I mean, the dead period, how long it is right now, 1 week, I guess, one solid week with no sports at all. I think it's there for a reason. It's there to let kids go to Myrtle Beach and go have some time and be a kid. It's tough on guys like us who want to sit and talk sports all summer long, but I think that
good or bad?
I think it's good.
Bad. See, here's the thing. I think it's kind of I don't know. I kind of think it's necessary because coaches, they kind of get into it too much, and they can't kind of regulate their own self. So, they will push them players too much. Don't let kids be kids. So I think it's something that's really necessary, but ultimately it shouldn't be.
You're absolutely right.
The coach should automatically be like, okay, 3 weeks in July, you guys, I don't want to see y'all.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Right.
But it's, I mean, I guess it's good, but it's unnecessary.
I agree with you. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. But our fourth topic on the board, John Beilein.
Yeah. John Beilein, he was – I'll tell you, when Tennessee started going into their basketball coaching search after Coach Martin left, Quanzo Martin, I was hoping we'd go after Coach Beilein. I knew he wouldn't leave. He's got such a storied past there at Michigan. He's a great coach, and he'd had so many great things there, and he's a great coach. But he jumped ship, and he's gone to Cleveland. I think it's bad for the game. I think it's bad. I think he should have stayed in college sports.
If he went to Tennessee, I'd just put a bad stench on his career.
He's a great coach, and he's not gotten in any trouble. He coaches well. He coaches the right way. He doesn't have the big one and done teams. and that I'm aware of. But I think he was great for the college game. I think it's bad that he left.
Well, a lot of people, they think of John Beilein, they think of Michigan. When I think of John Beilein, I think of WVU. His days at WVU, he was just a tough old bastard to play. He was. He always played Kentucky tough. He ended up beating us the year at Pittsnoggle, and
Yes.
Pittsnoggle hit the big shot, but Beilein, he's just a great X's and O's coach. He relates to the players well.
He does.
And it's kind of, with the NBA, I'm kind of torn there. I think it was a bad move, but it's still yet to be seen, because when he goes to the NBA, I think the players have a little bit too much power, and I hope that seeing his personality, I hope that he don't get run over.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that a lot of these college coaches go up there and try to scream and yell their way to these players who are making 10 times more than they are, and that's just not the way you handle that. I don't think Coach Beilein will do that, so it might be a little bit different. But, man, I just think it's bad that the college game lost such a great coach.
Well, here's my thing. Going into our next topic here, he's never going to get run over because he's got a woman on the bench. So, good or bad, women in professional basketball?
I think it's great. We've had a female coach on the San Antonio Spurs sideline for many years, and all they've done is win the championships. She was actually the head coach of the D League.
Yeah,
well, maybe their summer league team. I think it was their summer league team, and won a championship there, I believe. So if they know ball, if they're no different than a man. Get them up there, let them coach them up, and I know I listen to my mom and my wife more than I listen to anybody else. So maybe they can be better off.
I agree 100%. It's a good move. Kind of, we've had men's coaches forever coaching women's sports.
Yeah.
So why not let the women into the men's sports? It's kind of, when it comes to head coaching, I don't really know right now. I think it would have to be the right fit, because, when it comes to players, you got to think, would you respect, or a lot of players, even though that they would actually kind of look down, that they would be, whoever the first one's going to be she's going to have to be like a tough cookie, because she's going to be a trailblazer. And, you got to think, other teams, you're going to hear a lot from other teams, where you got a woman coaching, this and that. And, so whoever her players are, they're going to have to be the type of players that can look over that, and they're going to have to respect her and her knowledge of the game. Yep. And me, myself, I can't wait till one day when we see a woman coaching a professional NBA team.
I think it's coming sooner than we think.
Yeah, that's me too. I think within the next 10 years, we will see a woman coaching in the NBA.
I agree with you.
But with that being said, we're going to go to our final segment, our rundown segment. Kobe, also want to take, before we end this right here and go to commercial, want to give a big shout out to our producer, Big Willie Style over there. It's his birthday, and I want to say happy birthday to Coach Will Stevens.
Perfect. Perfect.
here for the final segment, the rundown.
LeVar Ball.
LeVar Ball said this trade, Lakers trade, was the worst ever. Then turns around and says they kind of forced it. It was their ideal. So I don't know where he's coming from there, but he always finds a way to get in the news. LeVar Ball, he was on First Take today. He just, when you talk to the man, he's wacko, but he's good for the NBA. You know, everybody got to love having LeVar Ball in right now. And, you know, he's been out of the whack for
U.S. Open.
I watched almost every stroke of the U.S. Open this weekend. It's such fun to watch these majors, these golf majors. Huge props to Gary Woodland. He's been on the tour for about 10 years. He had to hold off the biggest, beastliest stud in golf there is right now, Mr. Brooks Koepka. Fought him off the whole back nine. And happy for him the most because he was wearing a Wilson golf hat. He didn't need no TaylorMade or Titleist. He was playing out there with his pro staffs.
Rabbit Thompson.
Rabbit Thompson, newly hired Tug Valley coach. Great hire for the Tug Valley community. Rabbit Thompson, he had been there before. He's back now. When he come back with an all-star staff. Come back with Kurt Fletcher. Man, he's when you talk about West Virginia basketball, Kurt Fletcher, he won state titles with the Wimpson team with Rabbit as an assistant. They know each other. So look for Tug Valley to be right there on top next year again with that coaching staff. And Tug Valley, they got the players to.
Refs able to review pass interference.
I think this now is they can review pass interference later at any time. Obviously, wish we would have had this for the Saints last year in the NFC Championship game. Might would have had them in the Super Bowl as opposed to the Rams. You know, I think it's too much. I think it costs too much time. You know, these guys are human. They're going to miss them. And then when we have replay now, they miss them anyway. So,
All-star selection.
All-star selection, sport by sport. I think that it's in different stages right now. NBA, I kind of like the fans' view of it, you know, getting to go and vote in, you know, the players. But Major League Baseball, the way you got to have a representative from each team, I think that's kind of trash. Because if you got a team that don't have one, you know, it's kind of like a participation trophy. You know, you're handing them out and they're not needed.
World Cup celebrations.
We got this on the list here. There was a big hoopla about the women's national team in the World Cup recently. Scored 13 goals on some third world country, and they got a lot of heat for it. The argument for the celebrations is these young kids' first world goals. Let them celebrate how they want to. I'm a firm believer in, you know, if you haven't been there before, act like you have, and just keep scoring.
Players playing too much.
I think players definitely play too much these days. You got them playing all year AAU ball. They're playing year-round, whether they're playing high school ball, whether they're playing during the summer ball, or whether they're just playing, you know, in a league ball or in the backyard in tournaments. You know, I think that has a big lot to do with the kids getting injured. You know, I think they need that time off. They need that dead period. And
St. Louis Blues, NHL champions.
I got into hockey recently when the Nashville Predators made the Stanley Cup Finals a couple years ago, and I've been watching it ever since. This is the first time the Blues have ever won a NHL championship. They brought the cup back to St. Louis for the first time. Happy for that town, happy for that coach, happy for those players, and it was fun to watch them take down a big team like the Bruins on their way to doing it.
Chelsea Prophet.
Lindsey Prophet's little sister. She's Lindsey Prophet is a scoring legend here in the mountains. She can light out the scoreboard. Chelsea don't have a lot of hoop law coming in. She transferred to Pike Central. You know, she's the type of kid, she's got the talent to take that Pike Central team to the next level. Got a really nice Euro step, and she's forgot about because her 7th grade year she got injured, didn't play her 8th grade year. She's coming in to Pike Central her 9th grade year.
6 NCAA schools recruiting violations.
This is another shoe kind of dropping from the Arizona State coach going to jail that we spoke about last week. I don't think the 6 schools have been listed as of yet. They're going to drop this summer, but we know 5 of what those schools could be. Kansas, Arizona, we already know about. Louisville, NC State, and USC. what I'm look forward to seeing is are Kansas and Louisville going to get treated the same as NC State and USC?
XFL. They've tried it forever. Last time it had the Vince McMahon behind it. If it didn't work then, I don't see it working now. To be honest, I don't see any other football organization rivaling the NFL ever, because they've tried it back in the day, the AFLs. I think Canadian football, they do it great. They try to do their own thing. They don't try to be the NFL or compete with the NFL. But XFL, when you talk about the players they have coming in, like I think they signed Johnny Manziel.
Drake.
You all gave me this category because you know my feelings about Drake. I went on a little bit of a rant about him last week. Listen, I guess he acted like he played. Did he play in Game 6? I mean, he was dapping and high-fiving on his way out of the stadium. Then he was chugging beers with the team during the parade. I didn't see him on the floor, but was he playing? I didn't notice it if he was. But let him drink and be merry.
Bellarmine College goes D1.
Bellarmine College. Here's the thing with Bellarmine. It's another Kentucky school, another D1 school. It's huge news there because with Bellarmine going D1 right now, we have Northern Kentucky, Murray State, Western Kentucky, Louisville, UK, and Moorhead. If I'm not mistaken, those are the list. But having that other D1 college in Kentucky is going to be huge. It's based right out of Louisville.
Will Leonard stay in Toronto?
No. That's the short answer. He's had some gaffes in some interviews where he's kind of said some cryptic messages. If you read into what he's saying, I guess that's kind of reading too much into some stuff. But I just see him leaving. I think he gave him all he could give, and he's going to go on to greener pastures and play.
Chase
Parsley. Guys, if you ain't seen yet, Martin County, they got the new Big Three, but a big part of the reason why is Chase Parsley. Coach James, he's needed somebody at second fiddle there, that somebody he knew that he could depend on to help develop these players, and he's got it now. Chase Parsley, he's a former Mountain, great. Chase Parsley has the respect of all these players, and that was a very great news seeing Martin County hire. That's it, guys, for today's show of David and Daryl Sports. We'll see you next week, same time, same channel.